Join me on an inspiring journey through the world of fitness, health, and performance with the Genetic Coach, where I delve deep into the genetic foundations of athletic endurance, discovering how genetics is revolutionizing our understanding of human potential and how we can unlock our full athletic capabilities through a fresh perspective on conventional practices. Welcome to all our listeners, and thanks for joining in on the conversation today. I have another athlete in studio with us, but it's not a runner this time, and it's not a cyclist, it is a swimmer. I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce you to one of South Africa's top female distance swimmers, Michelle Weber. Hello, and thanks for joining us, Michelle.
Hi, Di. Thank you for having me.
So before we get started, I just want to give you all a quick rundown of who Michelle is. She's got a very impressive bio, so let's get started. Michelle is a two-time Olympic open water swimmer, specializing in the 10-kilometer event. Her passion and dedication has kept her on the South African elite squad for the last 10 years, where she's competed at numerous world champs, defending 17 national titles in the 5K and 10K open water events. She's claimed gold at the Junior World Champs and won 4 Ghana African Games titles. In 2022, Michelle swam across the English Channel in a new South African female record. And for those of you who don't know the distance, it is 35 kilometers, and she did that in a time of 10 hours and 21 minutes. And she also has the fastest female time for the Robben Island crossing, which is 7.5 kilometers, and she did that in 1 hour 31. So amazing stats there. And Michelle, we're very proud of you as a South African top swimmer. And maybe you can just start off with telling us how you got into swimming and where your passion for swimming came from.
I mean, sure, it goes back so long ago. I'm originally from Natal and I grew up in Umhloti and then Umhlanga side. I went to a school called Crawford La Lucia, which is in Umhlanga. And yeah, I think the water's a little warmer there than what it is here in Cape Town. So I think I could swim all year round. But I mean, I have an older sister. She was 2 years older than me, and she did her first school gala, and we were very lucky to have quite a we had an Olympic sized pool at our school. And I think she was in grade 1, so she was very young. And she did her first gala, and she swam with a pool noodle to the other side of the pool. And my parents watched it, and they just said, "Okay, it's time for the girls to go for swimming lessons." So I was 5 years old at the time, and then she went first, and I sat next to the pool with my mom, and my mom just said that I would beg her for me to just get in the water and start swimming. So 2 weeks after my sister started, then I started swimming as well. And I just have all these memories of just being so competitive, even like in my learn to swim class, like I would try and race the boys in like a 10-meter pool in the kicking sets. And I think I just have these memories of literally when I was 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years old, being so competitive, like doing galas and racing at 25 meters and going to my parents afterwards and asking what my time was and if it was better than the last time. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I love the sport. I love being in the water, and I just love competing as well. So it just came.
all
I
came
think it's just
together.
something that was there when I was so young. Yeah.
Yeah. Does your mom and dad do they swim? Did passion come from them watching them
Um,
or not really?
my mom, no, not at all. So she grew up in the Free States on a farm, and like no
No
swimming, no.
water.
It was more piano behind the books, and I think she did some horse riding as well. But sport, no. My dad, he was quite. I mean, he loved the water, and he did swim. He swam provincials, and he did a lot of spearfishing, and I think he was just like a bit of a water baby. My little sister, who wasn't competitive at all and didn't love swimming as much, but she just loved being in the water. Like we had
Mm.
a pool at our house when we were younger, and she would spend hours, like I'm not even kidding you, like 5 or 6 hours in the pool on her own, just like doing dolphin dives and jumping in the pool, but like more just for fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I don't know, but I spoke to my one friend and he says, I don't know if it's true, but he says when it comes to genes, they said normally it's the mother in the family that carries the sporting gene. I'm
Oh,
not
really?
sure how true that is. So he was saying that no, your mom was probably an excellent athlete, but she never actually pursued athletics in any form. So I don't know. It
Okay,
was
so
just
maybe she's still got some hidden potential that she can get
yeah,
behind.
yeah, 100%.
Um, but yeah, you've obviously got that competitive streak, which is, fundamental to an athlete to go far in their sport. And if I read through your times and your swimming achievements when you were younger, you were obviously very quick in the pool, at shorter distances. So, where did the transition come to long distance swimming, and how did you find your ability for that?
I wouldn't know if it is genetic, but I mean like I was training and I was in a very like a junior squad, and then my dad found a coach that was literally about 15 minutes from where we lived, and this was at Kings Park Pool, and his coach was Alistair Hatfield, and he was quite an old man, but he was quite very experienced, and he had an Olympic swimmer at every Olympics since 1996, since South Africa could start partaking in the international events after apartheid. And then I think I don't know, like there was just like a bell in my dad's head and was like, okay, kids have to go to this coach. He's like
Mm,
amazing. And this was also like a massive pool, and I was surrounded by these really incredible athletes. And I think and he was very old school in his ways, where you did a lot of training. The volume was high. There was a lot of aerobic work, quite a bit of speed. But yeah, just being in an environment where you did these endurance sessions and being surrounded by other Olympians and junior world championship swimmers. I think that's just I think that actually just nurtured me into where I am today.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you obviously prefer the long distance swimming over the shorter distance? I mean, that's where you've made your name in the long distance stuff, but is it that you find the long distance stuff just more comfortable and maybe in inverted commas easier to do than the short stuff, or is it just where you found yourself now?
I think it's just where I found myself. I mean, I was good at sprints, but I don't know, like I think it was 2000, yeah, it was 2008, and I just finished watching the Beijing Olympics, and I was 11 years old then, and I went to my coach then and I said, okay, look, I'd really like to go to the Olympics one day as well. And he said, the best way to go about it is whatever time you want to aim for. So this back then, open water swimming had just entered the Olympics, but I hadn't even swum an open water event before. So I was trying to qualify for Olympics in the pool, and I was trying for London, and I was gonna try go for the 400 and 800 meter. And my coach said to me, whatever time you want to hold in the pool. So the qualifying time was a 4:08 for the 400, and for the 800 meter it was an 8:32. He says, get in the pool and try and hold that time. So if the qualifying time is an 8:32, try and hold 104s per 100, even 103s. And then when we did a set of 100 meters fast, then I would try and go for those times. But I was so young at the time, I would like get into warm up and I'd sprint warm up, I'd sprint the main set, I'd sprint the cool down. And I think it was just years and years and years of just like swimming as fast as I could for an entire session, that I just built this very big engine to swim fast for very long distances. So
Mm,
when I got to the London Olympic trials, I was 15 at the time, and I missed the 800 qualifying time by 10 seconds. And it was just like one of those things. And then I was quite gutted afterwards because I spent 4 years training for it. But I mean, I was so young. And then there was the Junior World Championships open water event later that year, which I had luckily qualified for. And then I got to the swim, and it was a 5 kilometer, and I came first. And then I think that's when I was like, okay, maybe like just I wasn't like gonna give up on pool swimming, but I started doing pool open water swimming, and just over time, I mean, and I just kept sprinting all my sessions, and then I just got better at the long distance stuff.
right. You've been competitive from a very early age, and how have you kept your motivation and your passion for it all through the years?
So, I mean, it's really like it's been up and down. I mean, I think when you're younger, it just comes like you're so enthusiastic and you're so excited about training every single day. And then, like, I think that flame does like die down a little and then it ignites again and then it sort of goes away for a bit and then it comes back. I mean, I'd say like at the end of the day, like I had a goal. I mean, there were times when like I would have wanted to give up and like the training load was too much, or if you didn't swim as well as what you did and you've worked so hard for it. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, like you really just need to trust the process. I believe what's for you will always be for you, and you're gonna have good days and you're gonna have bad days, but like just like tunnel vision, staying focused and just remembering the goal. I think that was the most important thing for me and just having fun with it. I mean, I've loved open water swimming because it's not like staring. I mean, a lot of my training's in the pool, but when I get to an event, it's not staring at a black line. It's like in the ocean and it's always different and the conditions are always different and it's a different beach or a different lake or a different dam. And I've loved the adventure side of it where I get to see different places and no race is ever the same and no swim is ever the same because the swell or the chop or the currents might be different and you have to sort of figure it out along the way. And I've
Mm.
enjoyed elements of the sport.
Okay, so I want to get a little bit into the genetics a little bit further. I know you haven't had a genetics test done, and you will be having a genetics test done, but I think we have quite a good sense of ourselves as athletes, in terms of what we're good at, what we maybe not so good at, and what our body battles with. So I just, as a bit of fun, I just want to ask you, so one of the things that we test for in our 3x4 genetics test is looking at your power genes versus your endurance genes, and just looking at what your body is well, what type of exercise your body responds to better, and what maybe you find a little bit easier. So that's where I was going with your sort of shorter distance
Yeah.
swims versus the long distance swims. But just very quickly, if you were to think about yourself, would you say that you may be more of a power athlete or maybe more of an endurance athlete?
No, more of an endurance athlete.
Endurance, okay.
No, but I mean, now I'm gonna go for this genetic test, and you always think of yourself as something, and then the tests come back, and it's actually
Yeah.
different. But I mean, we can regroup, but I mean, like, I think I'm all. But I mean, it'd be nice to see what the tests are gonna say. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing with genetics is that, yes, it's your genetics and your genetics don't change, but it doesn't box you into, well, you're only an endurance athlete or you're only a power athlete, because
uh,
we know that we can train the body in certain ways for different types of events and different types of outputs. So, but yeah, it will be very interesting to see what the baseline is. But
no,
in terms of your recovery, how do you say that you recover quickly, or do you have to give yourself some time and you've really got to put some effort into your recovery strategies?
I mean, I did read through the questions you sent before, and when I read that, my first thought was like, I don't think I recover quickly because I'm always so tired. But then I just also thought that, I mean, I haven't been injured, like I haven't had shoulder injuries or back injuries or anything like that in my entire, like touch wood, in my entire swimming career. So I want to say my recovery is quite good. I do get fatigued like anyone else, but I mean, if yeah, I guess, after a bit of rest, I can just come back and do it again. But I mean, I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see what the genetic tests come back as because it might just be like a mental thing that I have where I'm just like, okay, like you're a fighter, like when you're tired, just get up and keep going. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the test says. But I mean, I think I would say I recover quite well.
So you've never had an injury?
No, I had a little tachycardia thing when I was younger, and then like the doctor said I could leave it, but I decided to have that procedure done to get rid of it. So, but I mean, other than that, I haven't had any muscular injuries. No.
Okay, interesting. So do you train with a coach at the moment, or do you self-train?
At the moment, no. And from the beginning of 2018 until now, I wouldn't say I'm as competitive now. Well, I'm not competing now, but from then until now, I haven't had a coach, and yeah, everything's been self-trained, self motivated, and yeah, self-disciplined. It's much harder when when it's like that. But yeah, I guess it was very hard. I moved from Natal in 2016 to the side to Stellenbosch, and I couldn't really find a long distance open water swimming specific coach. And then I don't know, I was gonna stop swimming, and then my mom just said, you know, if you really want to. So then the Tokyo Olympics was gonna happen in 2020, and she just said, Mish, like if you believe that you could try go for a second Olympics, then I believe you can do it too. So I kind of just stuck it through, and then I don't know, he sort
So
of
you
just looked.
coached yourself for the Tokyo Olympics?
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
Olympics and the Robben Island crossing, the record for that in English Channel, that was my own little brain that tried to formulate programs for it. And like, I mean, I look back and I just can't believe that like it actually did it. But I mean, yeah, it came together in the end.
That's
So happy.
incredible. Well, testament to the fact that you really obviously know yourself well and you know what works for you. And also just to have the discipline and motivation to put that into practice without somebody looking over your shoulder and saying, why haven't you done this? You know, you need to go and do it. So I think that's a hallmark of a good, you know, of a champion athlete as well, is having that motivation and that internal drive, which is
Yeah.
amazing. So in combination with the swimming, do you do any type of cross training? Are you in the gym? Do you do any other type of sports?
Yeah, I do quite a bit of core. So I would do core maybe 3 times a week, and one of those sessions would be some weight sessions. But I really felt like with the swimming cross training with some trail running, it wouldn't be very far. It would be like 30 minutes or on the stationary bike, was really, really beneficial to me, especially in that aerobic zone and just getting that part like better and stronger. For some reason, I found that trail running, especially on the hills, was the best thing for me. And it wouldn't be far, it would be 30 minutes, 40 minutes max of just up hills and then a little bit flatter. And yeah, I just felt like that was the best for my training.
Okay. And do you follow a very strict diet? So nutrition wise, how strict are you on yourself? I mean, obviously you go through periods where you're obviously prepping for a specific event and obviously you're going to be a little bit more disciplined then. But on the whole, what would you say? How do you control or how do you plan your nutritional intake?
You know, would say I'm very disciplined in it. I think if I'm really craving, I wouldn't say I have a sweet tooth, but if I really am craving it, then I would have something sweet. Sometimes your body just knows what it needs in the moment, and I think with such heavy workload, then yeah, I would have like some chocolate or have pizza or something like that. But I think as a whole, yeah, I was quite disciplined in it that I would make sure I get my fruits in. I mean, I wouldn't restrict carbs. I'd have pastas and that sort of thing, but it would all be controlled in that I wouldn't overeat. I mean, you know, you have to be quite slim to be able to swim very fast. And yeah, I think you do need to you can't carry extra weight. So as much as what swimming and gym and cross training and, you know, mental training and is all important. Your nutrition is a very, very, very important role. And I feel like, yeah, I should have taken that into consideration from a very young age. So I think, you know, implementing these things when you're younger is actually quite important. So yeah, I think I was quite disciplined in it.
So did you have someone at a younger age who kind of educated you around nutrition and told you what to do, or did you kind of figure that out for yourself?
No, no, I went to dietitians and they suggested certain things, and then sometimes I felt like certain things weren't working for me, and it was quite nice. I mean, I could test these things out from when I was very young. I'd say like I think I saw a dietitian from when I was 12 years old, and like they would suggest things, and I would see that maybe the lunch worked really well for me, but the breakfast I didn't enjoy, and then I'd play around with different things, and then I think you need to do what works for you, and yeah, and then I think over the years you sort of just figure it out and then you just stick to your habits. But
Mm.
yeah, I feel like there could have been a lot more done to make it work the best that it can.
So getting onto your channel crossing, I actually watched a movie the other day on Netflix about the first female swimmer that swam
Mm.
across the channel. And oh my goodness, it in those days, yo, it was quite a thing for a female to be doing that. Is it still considered quite a thing for a female to do the crossing? I mean, how many females do it, maybe on an annual basis? Do you know?
No, a lot do it. I'm coaching a lady now to do the Robben Island. I mean, not the Robben, the English Channel. She's doing it next year. The success for women is quite high as well. So I don't think it's nearly as much as what it used to be. It's just so inspiring to see how the sport has grown and how many women are out there being ambitious and setting this massive goal. I mean, to fly to England and to swim to France. And it's all personal. I mean, like you don't everyone has a different reason for being there. It's not always there to try and swim a fast time. It could be, yeah, just it gets very personal. It could be that they're doing it for someone who, I mean, some people do it to raise funds for a cancer patient, or some people do it for their father that's passed away. Some people do it for their children, and it's just, yeah, or some people just do it for themselves, and some people actually just do it because they don't even know why they're doing it. So, and it's just, I mean, I coach now, so it's just really inspiring to see that other side of what open water swimming is, that it's not always competitive, but yeah, and then yeah, I mean, this movie, I haven't watched it yet. I can't remember what it's called. I know that
I can't remember right now what the Woman of the Sea or something like that.
yeah,
I can't
the
remember.
Woman of the Sea.
Um,
I didn't
really
watch it.
inspiring. Yeah. But so what was your motivation?
I think when so I mean when I got there I really didn't know what I was doing there and I was so nervous. I promise you I've never been so nervous before in my life, and 24 hours before the swim I was the most nervous I've ever been. You know, you swim across the sea, and I mean in the middle of the swim I just thought that, you know, this is actually just in way deeper than what I thought I was, because you know you actually swim quite blind when you start the swim, when you start the crossing, because they don't know what the tides are going to do and what the currents are going to do until you're actually swimming. So I mean, you'll be swimming, swimming, swimming. You sort of see France, and you're heading towards one point of the bay, and then about 30 minutes later, you're 500 meters to the left of where you were going. So you're literally like this cork bobbing around in the ocean, and you can't swim against the tide. I mean, you don't even know it's pushing you from the left or to the right. I mean, you just swim. But yeah, I think my mom passed away at the end of sorry, at the beginning of 2020. She had breast cancer, and that's something she was fighting for a very long time. And I think, yeah, I think there was a lot of, like, I had to deal with a lot of things, and you know, you try to think of why this happens or how it happens or why she had to leave at such a young age. I think, you know, sport is amazing and swimming is amazing. A lot of swimmers I speak to, they swim for personal reasons, but you know, I tried to work through it for nearly 2 years, and then after 10 hours in the water, I just felt like I could really just let go after that. Yeah, not even knowing it, I think I did it for her and I did it for me. So yeah.
Oh, wonderful story. But in this movie, this swimmer comes across this huge swarm of, I don't know if you call it a swarm or what, but jellyfish, and these red jellyfish, and she had to swim through them and she gets stung. And did you come across anything like that? Did you have to deal with something like that in the crossing?
I mean, I know of people that have swum into jellyfish, but no, thank God I didn't, because
Okay.
I'd be petrified. I have swum over like blue bottles and jellyfish before, and it's a very uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. No, it looked
Yeah.
awful. Give us a little bit of insight into, like, how do they feed you in the swim, and what type of things did you eat and drink during the swim to keep yourself going?
So there's a support boat next to you, and they have the GPS track and the navigation of where to go and the best line for you. And yeah, there's the skipper, the person who drives the boat. There's the observer. He is part of the CSA, which is the Channel Swimming Association, and he makes sure that you follow the rules and you're not actually getting back into the boat and then traveling like 5 kilometers and then getting back into the water, that you actually
Mm.
the whole thing. And then you have your support crew, and then they would give you your feeds. I would try to feed every 25 to 30 minutes. And yeah, my feeds were, I had a carb mix, I had some protein shakes, I had chocolate, which was really good. I mean, I think when you're in the water, especially salt water for so long, your mouth becomes very dry and something sweet actually just takes it away a little bit.
Mm.
And I had jelly sweets, which also really helped, some bananas, and it's kind of hard to plan it properly because you're in the water, the swell is there, you could get seasick, and you are swallowing salt water. I mean, even if you aren't there actually drinking it, you're swallowing a lot of it. Afterwards, your face is like 3 times the size from all everything, all the contact you've had. So stomach can get quite upset as well. So it's just actually getting quite a bit of fluids in, which I think was the best thing for me.
Can't imagine it. It really sounds otherworldly. What kind of state were you in when you got to the end, to the other side?
I was exhausted. Like the swim started, I think it was at 8 o'clock in the morning and then finished around 6 p.m. Then there was another guy from South Africa that was also swimming the same time as me. He had his own support boat, obviously. And it was just so funny because the 2 days before we were saying, yeah, after the swim, we must all get together and have like some drinks and stuff. But I mean, that didn't happen. It was like, okay, like he was still swimming, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go to my hotel and just rest and
Yeah.
have something to eat and to go to bed. So I think from the time I finished, I think at by 9 o'clock, I was actually just in bed. They
Yeah.
do have to check you throughout the night for internal drowning, which is a real thing because when you swim for so long, like I said, you do inhale and you swallow quite a bit of water, and often like the water can sit on your lungs. So they actually say you should try and sleep upright. And they do come and check on you in the night just to make sure that you actually are breathing, because sometimes you don't actually notice it until a few hours after.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's scary. So
Yeah.
how many days did it take you to kind of get back to your normal self and recover?
I think I think like two. I mean, yeah, I was there I think 2 or 3 days afterwards, because then I spent a week in London and then, yeah, I mean, I walked everywhere. I didn't really, like, stop to lie in bed and rest for a whole week. I think no, I wouldn't I mean, I would say it took for me, like, to get back into training and back into swimming, it took a really, really, really long time. I must say I was quite exhausted after that swim, I think mentally and physically it's such a big build up, and I had Olympics the year before, so straight after Olympics I had probably 3 weeks off, and then I was back into training again for the
Mm.
channel. I think by then I was so exhausted, and yeah, getting back to where I was took some time, but I don't know, you get into it again.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you train yourself to withstand that cold water? I mean, what kind of prep do you do to prepare the body for that?
So, like I said, I mean, you have much colder water here in Cape Town than what there is in Durban. So, I mean, luckily, like no one's really short of it here. So we did really long swims in the Longabaan Lagoon, and then the water, it's quite nice because it's salt water, quite similar to the channel, and the water's also quite cold. So it could range between 13 to, I mean, so we was training throughout winter. So I mean, it was 13 to 15 degrees.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, cold open water long swims is the best way to go about it. Like how my coach said when I was younger, you know, whatever time you're trying to train for, hold that. I mean, whatever time you're trying to do in a race, try and hold that in your training. So you try to mimic whatever your race or your event is to do that into your training. So open water swims, cold water swims. I think for people who aren't near the ocean and don't have cold water training, I know a lot of the guys in Joburg do lots of ice baths and they do like really, really cold swims in the Joburg winter, like 3-degree open water swims. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's quite hectic.
Wow. Yo, the lengths we will go to as athletes, hey? It's quite
Yeah. But I don't know if I'll ever do it again. Like, I think it's like
okay.
a once-off.
Okay.
Like, there's very few people who go back and swim the English Channel again. I think it must really be a goal for you to go do it a second
Yeah.
time to do
Yeah.
it again. Yeah.
Okay, so box ticked. We don't need to go back there. But
Done.
um, you've clearly, I mean, you've been around the world. You've had so many amazing experiences with your swimming. What would you say has been the most memorable, or what is the closest to your heart in terms of the events or just experiences or places that you've been to?
I think English Channel was very much up there. It was one of the most wild and incredible experiences of my life. I think it's just because it was so hard in the lead up to it. And then actually the swim was nothing like I've ever experienced before. Like I said, it's once in a lifetime thing, so don't know
Yeah.
if I'll come back. But yeah, I think that's definitely up there. And then I think also, yeah, the 2016 and 2020 Olympics was also something very, very, very special and also just once in a lifetime thing. The first one was amazing. Like the qualifying swim was incredible because my dad and my sister were there and they were always such a big support in my training and like my school life, and it was just nice to for them to be there after the swim. And
Mm.
then yeah, Tokyo was very special because that was something that I had to train for and I had to be self-motivated and disciplined on my own. Like I said, my mom passed away before the time, so and it was just after COVID, so my qualifying swim was trying to train throughout like the pandemic that happened the whole
Wow,
of
yes.
2020.
Yes.
Yeah,
How did
so
you do that?
that was like hectic. I mean, there was a whole year of just like uncertainty whether the games would actually go ahead in 2020 when it was actually postponed to 2021. Then like the pools were closed and they wouldn't let you train. So I mean, like I live in Franschhoek, so the Berg River Dam is there, and like my one friend said, there's a hole in the one fence. So if you manage to get past the cops and if you manage to get past everyone, like sneak through the hole and just go swim like a few kilometers there. So literally, like my training was swimming in the Berg River Dam. Um, and like
Sneaky.
yeah, that was it. And then I think like lockdown sort of eased, and then I could start training again. But I mean, it was hard. Hey, like you don't have a coach, and you've already trained for nearly 4 years to swim in 2020, and then I think everyone who knows as athletes when a event is then pushed out an extra year, I mean, it messes with a lot of preparation. So yeah, it's like another whole year of training, and then I think after finally, and then it was actually quite hectic, the qualifying swim itself. I had to come top 9 countries. So if I finished 15th, if there were 2 Germans, 2 French girls, 2 Japanese girls, they could only take one swimmer from each country. So
Ah,
then the actual race itself, I think I finished something like 19th. And then as the results started dropping, I was the 10th country. So then I was like, okay, no, I didn't qualify. And I was already like, I was on the phone with my dad because he couldn't come because obviously it was still lockdown and
yes.
COVID restrictions, and he couldn't fly up to the qualifying swim was in Portugal. So he couldn't be there. And then I was just like he was just saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mish, like you tried your best, but you hadn't qualified." And then all of a sudden they were naming those people that had qualified, and they said no, that I actually did make it. So then I like handed the phone to my father, and the one coach took it and he was like, "Listen, like Mr. Weber, I don't know what's going on, but I think your daughter's just qualified for a second Olympics." And then I ran onto stage, and what happened was is that they take continental positions as well. So they have the top 9 countries and then they take one person from each continent. And I think everyone just forgot that Indonesia is a continent, and then I moved up to I
Oh,
moved up position. So I just made it, and like I literally got the last spot to qualify for the games, and they take 25 swimmers in the women's 10-kilometer swim in the whole world. So I mean, like
that is
literally got the
incredible.
final spots. Yeah, no, it was
Wow.
awesome.
Wow, what a roller coaster of emotions, I tell you. How did you actually perform in your actual Olympic race?
I was fine. Like I came 19th in Rio and I came 19th in Tokyo. I don't know why it's
Okay,
like
so very consistent.
yeah, like I must say, like if anything, I'm consistent. Let's
Yeah.
say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, just a massive achievement just to get there, especially during COVID times. Wow.
Yeah.
And getting through the training, quite a story. So
Yeah.
you said that you're not competing at the moment and you are coaching. You have this initiative called Share a Lane. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit what you are doing at the moment. What is Share a Lane, and yeah, what is on the horizon for you? What's next?
So Share a Land was I've been doing it since 2017. And it was actually just the story was I was at this one gala in Natal. And this one girl, she was so young. I think she was 8 years old, and she came to me. Her name was, I think it was Mika. She came to me and she just said, "Oh, I mean, like I've been following you, and it's just like congratulations on like your swimming and stuff." And I don't know, I just said like if you're ever in Cape Town, like please come for a swim with me. And then she managed to get here the one day, and we went for a swim here in Stellenbosch, and it was just so lovely. And I think there was this really big part of me that really just wants to do, like to connect with the younger athletes or any open water swimmer. And it was just to give back in any way that I could. I think that you get to it's been such a privilege and blessing to be able to have these amazing experiences. And I think it's just, yeah, it's good to give back. My one friend, he was an incredible swimmer as well. And he said, like the best advice that he got when he was like this young, he was also quite good as a young athlete. He says, on your way to the top, don't forget who you passed because you might meet them on your way back down. So I
Mm,
just always just think, like just always be kind to everyone that you meet and always be like that happy, kind person where you could just give back. Because I think everyone's just going through stuff and you must just always remember that. But yeah, either way, I mean, I think the whole thing it was really just to give back to the swimmers and to with them and just be as friendly and nice as what I could be.
oh, amazing. So anybody can come and do a training session with you
Yes,
for
of
free.
course. Yeah, for free. It's nice. Just
Wonderful.
to connect and just to.
Amazing. And so what is next on your horizon, Michelle? What are you looking outwards towards?
Now it's the coaching. I've opened up 3 swim schools and I'd like to open up some more. I love swimming and I think it's such an incredible adventure, and open water swimming is such an incredible journey for people to go on. I mean, some people don't even know how to swim, and then 18 months later they manage to swim like the Robben Island crossing. And it's like I said, for the channel, Robben Island's the same, that it's all so personal. And I've loved seeing people's journeys in sports and how they grow and develop in it. So yeah, I mean, opening up the swim schools, and I think that's my number one thing. Swimming, I still love swimming. If I can get back into competing, I think I definitely will. LA is 4 years away, so I'll just have to see what happens regarding that. I'm just like on the back burner, but like I think,
Yeah,
yeah, it'll sort of just like clear itself up when the time comes.
yes. Okay. So
Yeah.
wow, well, we'll definitely be watching you, watching out for you, and we just wish you all the very best. And we just thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an insightful chat, and thanks for taking the time. And yeah, we just wish you all the best in whatever lies ahead for your future. And perhaps we may be catching up again with you once you've had that genetic test, and we can
Oh
maybe
yes.
delve a little bit deeper into those results and
Yeah.
see what your thoughts are. But for today, that's all we've got time for, and thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Di. It's been really, really lovely chatting to you. And I'm looking forward to those gene tests.
Excellent.
Thank
All right,
you.
chat soon. Cheers.